Chapter 15. Donor Publicity and Donor Hesitancy, the hero's initial refusal to return. Monomyth ending. The universal hero story, Monomyth, ends with the hero's return. The hero returns to his original world. This original world confirms his new heroic status. It confirms his new identity. This often happens in an ending scene of public acclaim. For example, the original Star Wars film ends this way. So does the final Lord of the Rings film. So does The Lion King, and Shrek, and Moana, and The Karate Kid, and Rocky, and on and on. Fundraising. Publicity, risk, and reward. In fundraising, publicity can lead to public acclaim. It can lead others to confirm the donor's positive identity. It can even confirm the donor's heroic status. Building the right message can help. So can building the right audience. For example, a community of fellow supporters can be a great audience. They're more likely to appreciate and admire the donor's gift and impact. Good publicity can deliver the ultimate donor experience. But for many donors, it can be scary. It's scary because it can go wrong. Publicity can be risky for the donor's story. The audience may not be supportive. They can reject the positive identity claim. They can dismiss the donor's hero story. They can view the publicity as the motivation for the gift. This makes the gift a self-interested transaction. Such a gift doesn't reflect generosity. It's not sacrificial. It can't be heroic. These challenges can destroy the donor's story. Yet, publicity can be helpful. It can confirm the donor's positive identity. It can confirm the donor's hero story. It can massively increase the value of the donor's experience. But it's also risky. It can lead to rejection. This can be scary for the donor. Delivering this story ending is powerful, but it can come with a barrier. It can require overcoming donor hesitancy. How do we do this? How do we overcome the donor's fears? The answers appear in the monomyth itself. Monomyth, the refusal of the return. In the monomyth, the hero returns. He is now personally transformed and meaningfully victorious. The original world confirms the hero's new status. Often, the hero returns to public acclaim. But the return of the hero isn't simple. In its classic form, it's a sequence of 6 stages. Stage 1 might surprise you. It's 1. The refusal of the return. Why would the hero refuse to return? Because the return can be intimidating. The original world might reject the hero. It might not accept his victory as meaningful. It might not see his transformation as positive or real. The prospect of the return is risky. The original world might reject the hero's enhanced identity. In Jung's work, this enhanced identity is called individuation. One researcher explains, quote, "The loss of the personal individuation that had been achieved is a driving fear for the hero in his return to the known world." Close quote. The hero resists returning to the original world. The return subjects him to public scrutiny. It could lead to public acclaim or not. It might instead lead to public dismissal or derision. It's risky. These same risks arise in a donor's fear of publicity. The donor may have had a good experience without publicity. He may have felt an internal identity enhancement. The gift may have been personally meaningful. But once it's made public, others may reject the meaningfulness of the gift. They may reject the identity claim. Publicity risks rejection. It risks, quote, the loss of the personal individuation that had been achieved, close quote. It risks a negative reframing of the donor's story. It can be scary. Monomyth, reframing the return. The hero initially resists the return. How is this overcome? First, the return is not framed as a way to gain acclamation. Rather, it is a necessary burden for the hero. The return is not an act of selfishness. Instead, it requires overcoming selfishness. One scholar writes, quote, possessing the boon is not an end for the hero. It is the beginning of another stage. The boon is a, quote, life-transmitting trophy. So the hero must return home, quote, where the boon may redound to the renewing of his community or the whole world, close quote. Campbell, 2004, page 179. Similar to the refusal of the call, this responsibility is also often refused by the hero as he is too selfish to use the boon for others' good. He does not want to leave the pleasures that this new world offers, close quote. Joseph Campbell explains the risks of the hero's return. He writes, quote, as dreams that were momentous by night may seem simply silly in the light of day, so the poet and the prophet can discover themselves playing the idiot before a jury of sober eyes. The easy thing is to commit the whole community to the devil and retire again into the heavenly rock dwelling, close the door and make it fast, close quote. It would be more comfortable never to return. But it wouldn't be heroic. Fundraising, reframing publicity. In the monomyth, the hero's return results in public acclaim, but it is framed as a sacrifice. A donor conversation can use this same framing. For example, I understand public recognition can be uncomfortable for you, but we found it sets a powerful example that influences others. Allowing us to share your story could inspire other gifts. Think of it like giving a second gift. It could really make a big difference. Another fundraiser suggests, quote, thank you so much for bearing with me. One last thing. Stories of generosity tend to encourage others to be more generous. It would be an honor to publicize your gift to inspire others. Would that be okay? Close quote. Publicity can deliver a powerful experience for the donor, but the motivation shouldn't be framed as selfish. Instead, the motivation is sacrifice. Allowing publicity is another gift from the donor. It's a gift that helps the charity. It's a gift that benefits the donor's people and values. Monomyth, automatic return. In the monomyth, how does the hero return? One way is Part 2, the magic flight. Here, the hero is forced to return. He's being chased. The temporarily beaten enemy is none too happy. There is no place else to go. The hero must escape back to the original world. Another way is Part 3, rescue from without. Here, the hero's return becomes automatic. He might be given safe and quick passage by those in the new world, or those in the original world may come and get him. Thus, the hero's return is either compulsory, Part 2, the magic flight, or automatic, Part 3, rescue from without. Either through outside force or outside aid, the hero returns. He moves to the next stage, Part 4, the crossing of the return threshold. He returns to the original, real world. Fundraising, automatic publicity. In fundraising, publicity pushes the donor's hero story into the real world. It can be scary, but it's also important. It can dramatically improve the donor's experience. So, overcoming donor hesitancy is important. One way to do this is to make publicity feel automatic. It can feel expected, normal, almost mandatory. Of course, an adamant donor could still opt out. But opting out shouldn't be highlighted, suggested, or even easy. It should trigger resistance. It should lead to conversations. These can be ostensibly to confirm, but also to counsel against opting out. Experiments have tested this. Making publicity mandatory rather than voluntary works. It increases volunteering and donations. Researchers explain, quote, making the publicity of a prosocial behavior mandatory instead of voluntary makes people more willing to both help and to spread word about the charitable cause and facilitates a win-win situation among contributors, charity organizations, and their recipients. Close quote. In practice, publicity should be routine and automatic. It should be a normal part of the fundraising process. A donor should never have to ask. Asking for publicity ruins the donor hero story. Even admitting that publicity is a motivation is anti-heroic. Publicity can still be an important part of the story. It just needs to be automatic, not demanded or even requested. Another study found, quote, when public recognition is saliently imposed, not requested, donation likelihood increases, suggesting that donors' potential concerns about observers' suspicion of their true motives is reduced. Close quote. The monomyth hero often hesitates to return. So too the donor hero may hesitate to bring his story into the open. This donor hesitancy can be overcome. Elements from the monomyth can help. Publicity can be reframed as unselfish and heroic. It can become magically automatic. Monomyth. The ending is vital. The hero story ends with admiration. It ends with a confirmation of heroism. This confirmation isn't just an add-on. It's an essential part of the story. It's even in the definition for hero. Merriam-Webster's definitions for hero include a person admired for achievements and noble qualities, and an object of extreme admiration and devotion. A hero whom no one admires isn't much of a hero. Admiration is important. It's important to the hero story, and it's important to the donor's hero story. Fundraising. The ending is the beginning. In fundraising, donor admiration can come from different sources. It can come from beneficiaries or their representatives. This is gratitude. It can come from other appreciative audiences. This is effective publicity. Gratitude and publicity are a key part of the story. But they're also a key part of the next story. The ending of one donation story is the beginning of the next. Publicity can encourage the next step. This is true whether the next step is the next gift or fulfilling a previous pledge. Fundraiser Ann Melvin explains, quote, every time I got a new pledge, I added, after my thank you, can I let other supporters in Wellesley know you'll be supporting the Wellesley Scholarship Foundation? Not only did I get a yes, but I increased my chance of turning the pledge into a gift by letting the pledger know that her gift would be public. Close quote. Gratitude and publicity are the end of the story. and they're the beginning of the next story. Confirming heroism, or at least a positive identity, enhances the donation experience. This encourages the next gift. Keeping the donor starts by finishing the story.